There is a company. It has never turned a profit. Not once. It's losing money across every single business line it operates. Rockets, satellites, launch services. All bleeding cash. Its CEO hasn't taken out a single dollar of life insurance. And they're about to ask you for $75 billion. The biggest IPO in stock market history. Bigger than Alibaba, bigger than Saudi Aramco, bigger than anything the public markets have ever been asked to absorb. But buried inside their own legal filing is a single fact that Wall Street analysts are calling the biggest red flag in the history of public offerings. SpaceX is asking you for $75 billion, and if something happened to Elon Musk tomorrow, nobody knows what your shares would be worth. In 2002, Elon Musk sold PayPal. He walked away with $180 million. Most people would have retired and never worked again. Musk tried to buy Russian intercontinental ballistic missiles to launch mice into space. Not metaphorically. Actual missiles. The Russians laughed him out of the room. So, he went home and built his own rocket company from scratch. The first rocket exploded, the second one exploded, the third one exploded. By 2008, he had burned through almost every dollar he had. Tesla was also on the verge of bankruptcy at the same time. He was sleeping on a friend's couch. He told a close friend that 2008 was the worst year of his entire life. Then, on the fourth attempt, the Falcon 1 reached orbit. And everything changed. Fast forward to 2026, SpaceX controls over 60% of all orbital rocket launches on Earth. Starlink has more than 5 million paying subscribers in over 100 countries. The company has launched more mass into orbit than all other launch providers combined, and it's now valued at $1.75 trillion. For context, that is larger than the entire GDP of Australia. Larger than the combined market cap of Tesla, Netflix, and Nike put together. And now, for the first time in its history, Elon Musk is taking SpaceX public. But here is where the story gets very dark. In 2013, Musk was explicit about this. SpaceX would only go public, and I'm quoting him directly here, after the Mars Colonial Transporter is flying regularly. In other words, after humans had already colonized Mars. Not visited, not landed. Colonized. His reasoning was actually logical. Building a permanent settlement on Mars would cost hundreds of billions of dollars and wouldn't generate a profit for decades. Public shareholders demand quarterly earnings reports. Those two realities, they can't coexist. So what changed between 2013 and today? 3 things changed. First, Starlink became real. When Musk first pitched a satellite internet, people called it science fiction. The idea that you could beam high-speed internet from low Earth orbit to anywhere on the planet, deserts, oceans, war zones. It sounded impossible. Today, Starlink operates over 7,000 satellites. It has paying customers in more than 100 countries. It generates billions in predictable, subscription-based annual revenue. The kind of business model that Wall Street understands and values highly. It transforms SpaceX from an ambitious moonshot into a recurring revenue technology platform. Second, Starship needs money. Starship is the most ambitious and expensive rocket ever built, standing taller than the Statue of Liberty, designed to carry 100 people to Mars in a single flight. To make it commercially viable, SpaceX needs capital at a scale that even Musk's existing investors cannot provide alone. Third, and this is the part that never makes the headlines, SpaceX's own filing reveals that the company is burning cash faster than its revenue can cover. The $75 billion being raised in this IPO is not a sign of strength. It's a sign of how much money SpaceX still needs to survive. This is not a profitable company going public to reward its investors. This is a money-burning machine asking you to fund the dream. Now we get to the red flag, the one buried inside the S1 filing, the one that should make every investor stop and read it twice. SpaceX's own legal document states Elon Musk is the, quote, driving force behind our growth, innovation, and operational success. That is not unusual for a founder-led company, but then comes the part that is extraordinary. SpaceX carries 0 key person life insurance on Elon Musk. None. For a $1.75 trillion company, whose entire narrative depends on a single human being. They have 0 financial protection if that person is gone tomorrow. And it gets worse. Because Musk is not just running SpaceX, he is the CEO of Tesla, the owner of Twitter, the founder of XAI, the CEO of Neuralink, the CEO of The Boring Company. 6 companies, 1 human being, 0 insurance. Even Apple took out key person insurance on Steve Jobs. The most iconic founder-led company in history understood basic risk management. SpaceX, the company asking you for $75 billion, has chosen to ignore it completely. But here's the thing. None of this means SpaceX is a bad investment. I mean, it might be the single greatest investment opportunity of the next decade. It might be the company that makes humanity multiplanetary. But you need to understand exactly what you are actually buying. You are not buying a rocket company. You are not buying a satellite internet provider. You're not even buying Elon Musk's vision. You're buying a bet on one man's continued existence. A man running 6 companies simultaneously. A man sleeping 6 hours a night, under constant legal, political, and personal scrutiny, with 0 insurance taken out on his life. I mean, look at the history of the most anticipated IPOs of the last 2 decades. Facebook dropped 50% in its first year as a public company. Uber lost 40% of its value in its first 12 months. Snap is still trading below its IPO price almost a decade later. The more anticipated the IPO, the greater the disappointment. And there is one final angle that nobody is covering. The private investors who got into SpaceX a decade ago are sitting on returns of over 17,000%. They are going to sell. Billions of dollars of selling pressure falling directly on every retail investor who bought the hype. Elon Musk built SpaceX by ignoring what was financially rational. That's not a criticism. That's literally how the company exists. But public markets don't reward ignoring financial rationality. They punish it every single quarter. So, is the SpaceX IPO the greatest opportunity in stock market history? Or is it the most sophisticated transfer of risk from insiders to retail investors ever constructed? Honestly, it might be both at exactly the same time. $1.75 trillion, every single business line losing money, one uninsured, irreplaceable human being at the center of everything. A governance structure that gives public investors almost no real power. Maybe the rockets make it worth it. Maybe the dream is bigger than the risk. Maybe Elon Musk really does put humans on Mars, and SpaceX becomes the most valuable company in human history. But before you hand over your money, make sure you understand exactly what question SpaceX is refusing to answer. Would you invest in SpaceX at $1.75 trillion? Drop your answer down in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you want to keep following the biggest untold stories in business, you already know where to subscribe. Click here to watch how Elon turned a $44 billion Twitter deal into a complete disaster.